welcome back to the Big Picture. We have Dr. Jasmine Roberts-Cruz and Thomas Savage joining us right now. Thank you guys for coming in.
We are so excited to be here.
Yes, Absolutely. It's an important weekend this weekend here in Columbus.
So what we're talking about is because the LGBTQ plus Commission was really formed late last year with that mission of advising and informing city leadership on goals and decisions that really affect that community. Talk to us a little about, the outset of that, how that commission was selected, and some of the goals that have been worked on so far.
Yeah, so in terms of the selection process, I don't really have a lot of information about that in terms of how the commissioners were selected, but I believe there was a call that went out last, I think, October, for the residents to just basically apply to this commission so that, city officials would be more informed in terms of some of the issues that are affecting the LGBTQ plus commission, or LGBTQ plus community, excuse me. And then from there were 13 commissioners who were selected, and I had the opportunity of being selected as the chair of the commission. It's been just a wonderful opportunity to essentially advise the mayor and city council about what are some of the core issues that are affecting the LGBTQ plus community. I think there is this perception that Columbus has got it all together, and I think in a lot of ways we are very advanced and progressive in terms of issues that affect the queer community, but we could do better, right? Because at the end of the day, we do still live in a state that has passed unfortunate legislation, anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. And so I think Columbus has a great opportunity to send a clear message that we're not going to go back in the closet. We're not going to be villainized. We're not going to be dehumanized. We are here, and we're going to fight back.
And what drove you to put in your application to be a part of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we talk a lot on the commission about our why. Why are we doing this work? We are a cross-section of the community. We're speaking on behalf of the community, but we're also very much a part of it. And our commission is a very wide range of folks. For me personally, I did not grow up in Columbus. I grew up in the Deep South, and that is a very specific experience. My background is in education, and when I was a classroom teacher, I taught middle school, which is so fun, so exciting. But, the stories that stick with me are from students who, regardless of what I was teaching them, what they found important was their ability to connect with me over their lived experience, and what they took from their experience from me was honoring that lived experience, including the rough things, including issues of gender and sexuality. And I enjoyed so much being a resource for them, a trusted adult. And I also, in reflection, know that that's not as common as we would like it to be. And so as I have progressed in my life and my career, I know the value of having adults who advocate specifically for youth and center them as the ones who are inheriting all of the work that we're doing. And so for me, knowing what it is to live as a youth who is part of the LGBTQ plus community, knowing that we need adults, allies to stand up and to be guiders for youth today. And so really all the work that I do is through that lens, and my work on the commission, that we serve all members of the community. My specific lens is being there to figure out ways to make the world a little bit easier for youth. But for me, that means bringing them to the center, allowing them to be leaders today, and knowing that doesn't start post-high school graduation, that doesn't have a title. For me, leadership is a process, and I enjoy being in a position to platform young leaders.
Amazing. So what are some of the top priorities that the commission's working on?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think the biggest thing is just to make sure that LGBTQ plus residents know that there are resources available for them, right? I think there is also this perception that because of all the anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment that has unfortunately increased not only in the state, but also across the country, that the resources are all dried up. And that's furthest from the truth. Now, of course, those resources are a little strained right now with all the legislation that is going on. But just the fact that, hey, how can we clearly communicate to our residents that the resources are still there? Also, on the commission, we want to make sure that we're fostering trust. Right? A lot of this work that we're doing is going to be community driven. So we do actually have a listening session coming up next Thursday, June 25th, 6 to 8 p.m., where we're actually going to invite the community to basically tell us, how do you all want us to do this work, right? It's only going to be as good as how we engage with our community. So those are just some of the top priorities that we have for our commission.
And how can people get involved? I know you said on Thursday you have an event, but is there anything else happening besides that?
Yeah, so we have our commission general meetings every third Wednesday in city council chambers. And so I think that's a very easy way to get involved thus far. We are actually looking for people to serve on some of our committees. So we have 4 committees on the commission. We have a health and social services committee, we have an executive committee, a advocacy and policy committee, and then our outreach and engagement committee. So those are, again, another way that you can kind of get involved in the commission.
And you kind of mentioned it talking about specific legislation, but the question that we posed to Stonewall Columbus when they were on last week was really, why are these things still important? Why is pride still important? Because, there are some people that are in the mindset of maybe we don't need this anymore. We've come so far, we don't need it. But then there's also the argument that it still
Why
needs
are
to
you
be there.
laughing about that? Please.
There's so many reasons. It almost reminds me of the whole post-racial sentiment back in 2008 when former President Obama was elected, and it was like, oh, we don't need to talk about race anymore. I want to harken back to what the executive director of Stonewall said at the Pride Brunch, and this notion that visibility without protections, that's actually not effective, right? And so that's why this commission is needed. That's why Pride is needed. Visibility without some of those political protections, without legislation that's actually going to affirm LGBTQ plus people, we need that, right? And so that is a big reason why Pride is still very relevant in today's society.
And I think that's perfectly captured by the theme of Pride this year, Until We're All Free. We speak a lot about intersections. And the truth is, we know for a fact that trans people aren't safe at this time period. They're very much under threat. You add, when you add in the components of race and sexuality or age and sexuality, all of these things, these matters that still need addressing, Pride hopefully is evolving to the point where we start to have more explicit conversations about that angle of it. And so I don't think it's that we don't need Pride anymore, but maybe we need Pride to be an evolved version of what it once was, and to have more nuanced conversations around what it means to have a truly free, represented people.
And I feel like this Affairs Commission is doing just that.
Yeah. I think going back to your question about priorities, one of the priorities I have as chair of the commission is to make sure whatever issues that we're working on, that we make sure that we pay specific attention to those who are the most marginalized within the LGBTQ plus community. So that includes trans people of color, that includes queer people of color, that includes our elders, right? So often our elders get left out of this conversation. I mean, why not really advocate for our elders? They're the ones who made sure that we could even be in this position to have a commission, right? And of course, as Vice Chair said, our youth. Right, they're going through. There's so many people that we, need to be paying close attention to in this community, and it just, like I said, is a complete honor to be in this position to do that.
All right, thank you both so much for coming in and talking with us, talking about some of those initiatives that the commission is working on. We'd love to have you back on to talk about as those continue to progress through.